welcome friends to today's Wednesday morning beginner practice. As you settle your body into what will be your grounding posture, whether it's a seated pose, a traditional child's pose, or crocodile pose lying flat on your belly, take this time to let your body settle. Notice your points of connection to your mat, to your space, to the ground where you are, to the room where you are. So I've chosen to start my practice in an easy seat. So my sitting bones, the outside edges of my feet connected to the ground. Feeling pretty stable. You might have chosen child's pose, finding a connection with your knees, your shins, the tops of your feet. Maybe your forehead resting on the ground, your arms extended out in front of you. Or maybe this morning you've chosen what we think of as maybe the most grounding posture, crocodile pose, the entire front side of your body connected to the ground. So whether it's this complete connection, child's pose, seated posture, let your body feel so supported that you can eliminate the need for your vision. Close your eyes. Once you close your eyes, you might notice some of your other senses start to sharpen. So what seems to be the one that comes most into point is hearing, at least for me. So just notice here with your eyes closed what you notice. Some sounds that might be around you, maybe they're outside. Maybe they're within your own home, maybe they're within the walls of the space where you are right now. See if you can bring your attention even closer, further inward. See if the sounds that you hear can be related to your body. So maybe it's your breath. Probably by now you've all eliminated mouth breathing. Through your yoga practice, your commitment to your yoga, you've learned that nasal breath is this yogic breath that sustains and supports our practice. If you're relying on the sense of hearing, a heightened sense of hearing to help guide you through your breath, you might consider layering ujjayi breath. Just constricting at the back of your throat, creating a further narrowing of your airway so that when you breathe in, maybe your inhalation lasts a little longer. When you breathe out, maybe your exhalation lasts a little longer. And both means of breathing, in and out, accompanied with a sound. So just try that ujjayi constriction, that ujjayi breath a few rounds, and see if it's something that you would like to maintain, to hold on to through your practice today. So here, before we begin to even move, maybe consider another sense that is heightened here. The sense of touch. So maybe your body is still, but you feel maybe cool air. So we talked about the positioning, even in your own home, of where it might be comfortable to come to your practice. If by a cold window or door, you've maneuvered yourself somewhere where you might be a little more warm. Maybe the warmth and the cool you feel is right at your nose, through your nostrils, cool air drawing in when you inhale, and body having warmed air when you exhale. See if you can stay attuned type of sensations through your practice, maybe allowing you to stay present, to eliminate your mind from pulling you away from this time that you've set for your practice. Take another round or two of deep breathing here. And then from whatever posture it was that you chose to start your practice, you'll blink your eyes open and then just carefully make your way to a tabletop pose. Come to your hands and to your knees, making sure that your knees fall just below your hips, that your hands fall just below your shoulders. Take a breath or two to work out any kinks, any tightness in your body. Maybe shifting your hips, maybe giving a hand a shake. And then once you've worked out these kinks, begin to move with your breath through rounds of cat and cow poses. Remember, you'll link your cow pose to an inhale. Drop your belly, lift your hips and your gaze when you inhale. When you exhale, let your back round, tuck your pelvic bone under, let your head drop. Keep moving with your parts of breath, inhale and exhale, and then see if you can work to then even start to exaggerate these movements more with this breath you've cultivated. Inhaling, lifting hips and gaze, pressing chest forward. Exhaling, rounding back. Take another couple of rounds, another couple of breaths. And come to neutral spine. Let your neck be long, the crown of your head out towards the space in the center of the room where you are this morning. And on an inhale, extend your right leg behind you. Point your toes first towards the windows or the back of the room where you are. And then let your toes point downward, press through your heel, engage your right leg, the muscles that run behind your leg. And then exhale, relax, drop your right knee back to your table. Then right away, inhale, extend your left leg behind you first. Point your toes towards the back of your mat. And then press your heel in that direction so that you can engage your hamstring muscle. The muscles behind your calf. Take another breath in. And exhale, let your left knee drop to the ground. Just as you did when you came to your table, shift your hips from side to side. Let your body feel settled. If there are any other movements that would help you hold your table, go there now. Again, maybe shaking a hand, twirling a wrist, and then come back to center. We'll spend a little bit of time this morning here close to the ground, considering the spine and curve that we can make in a direction more like a C curve rather than a wave of the spine that we go through cat and cow poses. So first, we'll track right hip to right shoulder. So imagine somebody were standing above you and they look down at your spine. Now allow your spine to curve like a C. You might even turn your gaze to look over your right shoulder as you track your right shoulder towards your right hip. So it's almost like you're finding length here along the left side of your abdomen, your torso. Maybe some space between your ribs on the left side. And then exhale, come back to center, and then imagine now a reverse C-like curve with your spine. Track left hip to left shoulder. Maybe gaze over your left shoulder. And then just pause here, now finding a little bit of space along the right side of your body. Take a breath in, and then come back to center. From your table, see if you can sustain a long, neutral spine, neck long, crown out towards the space in front of you. And then tap into the muscles in your low belly. We'll find our way to plank pose, so one leg at a time. It doesn't matter which one starts. Step back, drop your toes, curl your toes under so that you're pressing through one heel, and then send the second leg behind you. Now see if you can hold your plank pose in a traditional way, just a couple of breaths. Knees lifted from the ground, pressing through your heels, body in one long line. So to start, your shoulders probably right above your wrist. Now when you lower down, you might come just a little further forward onto the tippiest parts of your toes so that your shoulders go beyond your wrists, and then you start to bend your elbows. Start slowly to lower down. Drop your chest, drop your belly, then uncurl your toes. Now from here, extend your arms out in front of you. Take here, lying on your belly, what you might think of as a total body stretch with your toes pointed towards the back of the space you're occupying and your fingertips pointed out in front of you. Take a total body stretch. Maybe you've lifted your head, maybe your chin or your forehead is resting on the ground. It doesn't matter. And then relax your body. So if your head was lifted, now let your chin or your forehead rest. Take a breath. So just like that C-like curve you created with your spine and your table, we'll try here on the ground. So imagine the shape that a banana takes. First, we'll start to hinge to the right. So lift your forehead, lift your chin. Just start to walk your hands over to the right. Once you walk your hands to the right, you might hold on to the top of your right hand with your left, and then find any comfortable place for your head. It might stay lifted. It might lower between this space in your arms. And then just pick up your right leg. Let your right foot just inch its way a little closer to the right so that now, again, you've created this banana-like curve. Lift your left leg, cross your left ankle on top of your right. Once you've settled your body, settle your head, just so that you can relax. So for me, if I rest my left cheek and my left temple right on my left arm, it seems to feel the most comfortable. Just breathe deeply, feeling your belly press against the ground as you just hinge this way, twisting your spine in this C-like curve. Take another full breath. If you've rested your head, lift your head, uncross your left ankle from your right. Let your left leg come back straight behind you. Let your right leg come back straight behind, and then just start to walk your hands back out in front. Now, before you move to the opposite side, take another total body stretch. So you might imagine yourself like Superman, reaching your fingers straight out in front of you, your toes straight behind you. Take a total body stretch. And then creating a reverse C-like curve with your spine. Now you'll walk your hands to the left. You'll top your left hand with your right. You'll lift your left leg, let it come over to the left. And then lift your right, let your right ankle cross on top of your left. So you create whatever type of curve this is that helps to bring a little awareness to your spine. Maybe a little more space along the right side of your torso. So for me, this side, I can rest my right cheek, my right temple on my right arm. Continue to breathe. Take another breath in. And then if you've rested your head, lift it. Just slowly uncross your right leg from your left. Let your right leg come behind you. Let your left leg come straight behind you. Then just start to walk your hands, again, like Superman, straight out in front of you. Take another total body stretch. Breathing deeply, maybe listening to the sound of your breath, not only with constriction that you've created in the back of your throat, but maybe the sound of your breath against your mat. And then from this total body stretch, start to slide your hands so that they come under your shoulders. Have your arms bent and your elbows hugging in by your sides. Behind you, curl your toes under. Press through your heels so your knees lift from the ground. So you're still connected, maybe chin or forehead, your chest, your belly, your pelvic area, your hips connected to the ground, but your knees are lifted. See if you can find some fire. In our yoga practice, we call this determination tapas. If you can find some determination, fire, some tapas, use an inhale to straighten your elbows, bring yourself to plank pose. So we've been here already. You are pressing through your heels with your knees lifted. You found your body as strong as a solid piece of wood, like a plank of wood. And then from this plank pose, use your next inhale, make your way to your first downward facing dog. Lift your hips high. Let your heels drop in the direction of the ground. See if you can ask your body to be still for a couple of breaths. Just notice how this first downward facing dog feels. You'll want your fingers to be spread wide. The heel of your hand, so the base of the palm of your hand connected to the mat, both hands holding your weight equally between left and right hand. Your elbows as straight as they're willing to be. And if you imagine the crease at the bend in your elbow as the eye of your elbow, see if you can turn your arm so that this eye is pointing towards the front of your mat. Your shoulders square, your hips square, and your heels dropping in the direction of the ground. So maybe they're lifted. Maybe for you, bent knees is the best way to create length in your spine. If that's the case, keep your hips lifted high. Maybe a slight bend in your knees if that's best for the muscles in your leg. So now in your downward facing dog, invite a little bit of movement. So maybe that's pedaling your feet, bending one knee at a time, dropping the opposite heel. Take another breath or two. And then let your knees be as straight as they're willing to be. Let your legs be straight for a breath, or still for a breath, excuse me. And then come up onto the tippiest part of your toes. Lift your heels. So if you come up to the tippiest part of your toes and you look at your toes, you might see the knuckle that's closest to the tip of your toes bent. Knees straight here, feeling some heat build in your shoulders. Start to bend your knees, but don't let them drop to the ground. Imagine you're coming to a fiery downward facing dog with your knees bent, your shins parallel to the ground. Lift your gaze so that your neck is not feeling strained, maybe so that your gaze is looking between your hands. So you've created some heat in the center of your body through plank. You've created some heat in your upper body, holding your downward facing dog. Now create a little bit of heat, some warmth in your lower half. This fiery dog, take another full breath. And then in slow motion, 1 footstep at a time, keeping your knees bent for a little while at least, start to step forward, allowing your body to end up at the top of your mat in a standing forward fold. So once you get here, feet about hips width distance apart, upper body hanging heavy. Let your arms dangle as if they were wet spaghetti noodles. Let your head hang as heavy as if it were the weight of a bowling ball. Imagine you could, just by nodding yes, and then turning your head side to side as if you were saying no, soften and release any tension in your neck. Take a breath like this. Hold your head steady. And then with your linguini-like arms, do the same thing. Imagine any stress or tension
or tightness that you're holding in your shoulders, in your arms, you can release through your fingers just by wiggling your arms. And then release. Let your arms be still. Dangling in your standing forward fold, bring some focus to your low back. Send some breath there as you create some space between the vertebrae and your low back. And then here in your standing forward fold, bring some focus to the muscles behind your leg, your hamstring muscles. If that means shifting, so that maybe the balls of your feet take your weight for a breath or two, and then back towards your heels so that your heels take your weight for a breath or two. Find a spot maybe that you consider to be a sweet spot where you can engage your hamstrings, the muscles that run behind your knees, your calf muscles. Take another breath. And then we've been here dangling for a while, so just be careful when you make your way to standing. Bring a slight bend to your knees to protect your low back. Let your head hang heavy so that you can avoid feeling dizzy. And with the start of your next inhale, start to lift. Go slowly. Let your head hang. Let your arms hang.
If you feel dizzy, keep your chin tucked towards your chest. When you feel like you're ready, lift your gaze so that you're looking straight ahead, and then make a few shoulder rolls, picking up your shoulders, rolling them up, back, and down. And then coming to a standing mountain pose. You might be comfortable in your mountain with your feet just hips width distance apart. I think it feels better to create a more wide base. So you might follow along, bringing your feet about shoulder width distance apart. In your mountain pose, opening your palms out to the space in front of you. Noticing this just slight rotation outward of your arms. So now your pinkies are closer to your legs. Palms out in front of you. Probably feeling secure enough here to close your eyes. If closing your eyes makes you feel wobbly, just bring a very low gaze, maybe down the bridge of your nose or towards the ground. And check in with your breath. So here, first time this morning, completely standing in your practice. Bring your focus back to the sound of your breath. Bring your focus back to any sensations you're feeling in your body. Maybe it's some warmth. Maybe it's a cool breeze. Keep your focus on your practice. Stay present. Take one more breath in your mountain with your arms engaged, your arms rotated outward, your palms towards the front of your space. And then when you exhale, release so that your palms are facing your legs, your arms are neutral. Blink your eyes open if they were closed. Let's just bring some awareness to side body and to shoulders, to neck while we're standing here. If your feet are wide, you might, again, feel a little more secure. On an inhale, lift your right arm up and overhead. When you exhale, hinge to your left. Let your left fingers slide down the outside of your left leg. Stay grounded through your right foot. Reach your left fingers over towards the side of the space where you are. Take another breath in. Exhale to release. And then when you inhale next, come back up tall, lifting up through your right arm. Keep your right elbow straight. And then from here, take another breath in, reaching up. When you exhale, bring a bend to your elbow, almost like you're patting the top of your back with your left hand. Reach up to put a little bit of pressure on your right elbow, maybe feeling like you can guide your right hand a little closer down the center of your back.
Isolate here the small muscle in your tricep behind the upper part of your arm. Maybe inch your finger just a little closer down the center of your spine. And then release your left arm back to your side. Inhale, lift your right arm back up and overhead. Now when you exhale, bend your right elbow, but just let your right hand fall on your head so that your fingers graze your ear. And you allow the weight of your hand to draw your right ear to your right shoulder. Find a little more engagement here, releasing a little more into the base of your neck on the left side by straightening your left arm. Allowing your left fingers to track their way straight down towards the ground. Take another full breath. And then let your left arm be soft. Inhale, lift your right arm up. Bring your head neutral. When you exhale, let your right arm float down by your side. And then from here, let's move through a round of some lunges. Bring your hands to prayer. Move with your breath. Inhale, extend your arms out to the side, reach up and overhead. Exhale, hinge to fold forward, diving forward, arms towards the ground. Use a breath in to come up halfway with a flat back. And exhale to fold forward. From here, find your way to plank pose. You might like to hop. You might step 1 foot at a time. It might take you 2 steps. It might take you 8 steps. It doesn't matter. Find your way to plank. Now, we're not going to lower to the ground from this plank. Rather, just hold the plank for a breath or two. And then from this plank pose, transition body into downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your hips high, drop your heels back. Bring your feet close together so that you can support your lower half. On an inhale, lift your right leg first. Bring your leg in line with your hip. So your leg is probably parallel to the ground, toes pointing towards the space behind you. Take a breath. Then, inhale, lift your right leg high. Imagine you could point your toes straight up towards the ceiling. Take a breath. Then add a twist here. Bend your right knee. Point your right knee towards the ceiling as if you could tap your left shoulder with your big right toe. Roll open into down dog twist. Take a breath. Keep your right knee bent. Unwind from your twist. So first your hips are square to your mat. Fire up a little heat in your body. Inhale, shift forward, almost like you're coming into a one-footed plank pose, keeping your right knee bent. See if you can bring your right knee to the outside of your right elbow. Take a breath. And then finding the strength in the center of your body. Bring now your right knee behind your right arm, and then see if you can step your right foot to the space between your hands. So maybe it took you a couple of drops of your foot. Maybe with your hands you guided your foot to this spot. You're working on a deep bend in your right knee and a high or low lunge, your choice. So the leg that's behind, in this case your left leg, your knee stays lifted or lowers down to the ground. And when you're ready, you'll lift your upper body. Take any expression with your upper body. Maybe today you clasp your hands and rest them on your right knee. Maybe you lift your arms up and overhead. So this high lunge, finding a spot, setting your gaze, kneading here. If you're working on high lunge, a drishti to help with your balance. Probably feeling a little more supported if your knee is on the ground. It doesn't matter wherever you are. Take one more deep breath in. And then we'll exhale. Let your hands lower to frame your right foot. Now you'll simply step forward with your left foot to meet your right. And you'll allow your breath to guide the movement of your body. Inhale, come up halfway with the flat back. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift your upper body. Raise your arms overhead. Exhale, let your arms lower to your sides. Come to mountain pose. So your choice, feet stay hips width distance or create a wider base. If you can, closing your eyes. Listening to the sound of your breath. Noticing any physical sensations. Breathing deeply. Be conscious for a couple of breaths where your inhalations are dropping. So many of us carry ourselves as chest breathers and allowing inhale to stop just in our chest area. See if your breath is so deep that you feel your belly puffing out when you inhale. And with your next exhale, let your arms relax by your sides. Blink your eyes open. We'll bring some awareness to left side body. On an inhale, lift left arm up and overhead. When you exhale, hinge now to your right. Let your right fingers slide down the outside of your right leg. Keep reaching through your left fingers, rolling open through your heart, through your chest, through your left shoulder. When you inhale next, come back up tall. Keep your left elbow straight, keep your left arm reaching up. Take another breath, reaching upward towards the ceiling, and when you exhale, let your left elbow bend. Bring your left palm as if it's patting the top of your back. Bringing some awareness now to left tricep with your right hand. Reach up, giving a little bit of a push to your left elbow. Maybe inching your fingers a little closer down towards the center of your back. Take another full breath. And then let your right arm float back down by your side. Inhale, lift your left arm back up. Reach up high through your left fingers. When you exhale next, bend your left elbow. Let your hand rest on your head, grazing your right ear with your right ear with your left fingers. Let the weight of your hand draw your left ear over towards your left shoulder. Engage if you like. Straightening your right arm, tracking your right fingers towards the ground. So notice any sensations. What might be coming up? For me, this side is more tight. So what comes up might be what is creating that tightness, what is creating that tension. And my goal is to pull myself away from those thoughts. They don't matter right now. Rather, bring focus to breath. Bring focus to softening as much as we can. If you engage your right arm, let it now relax. When you inhale, bring your head back neutral, lift your left arm up. When you exhale, let your left arm float down by your side. And then let's move ourselves through a round of lunges. Bring your hands to prayer. Move with your breath. Inhale, extend your arms overhead, whether that means extending out to the side, extending straight out in front. And with an exhale, hinge at your hips so that you can fold forward, letting your arms dangle out in front of you. Inhale to come up halfway with a flat back. And just like last round, as you exhale, fold back, find your way to plank. Hop if you like, step 1 foot at a time. Find a strong plank. Hold your plank with pride, crown straight out in front of you, neck long. Strengthen the center of your body. Take another breath. And then inhale, find your way to downward facing dog with your hips high
Your spine long, your heels in the direction of the ground. Bring your feet together to touch. And inhale, find a three-legged dog. First, lifting your left leg so that your leg is in line with your hip, probably parallel to the ground, pointing your toes to the space behind you. Then, inhale, lift your left leg so that your toes are pointed up towards the ceiling. Then find a three-legged dog. Bend your left knee. Fan your left hip open. Notice where your gaze is, probably under your left armpit. Take a breath. Keep your left knee bent. Unwind from your twist, and again, find a little bit of heat in your body. Imagine you're shifting forward on your next inhale onto a one-footed plank, bending your left knee to the outside of your left elbow. Just take a breath. Then tapping into the energy in the center of your body, pull your left knee behind your left arm and step your foot, to the space between your hands. As many times as you might need to drop your foot, to maneuver your foot, to make your way to a lunge on this side, high or low, it's your choice. Deep bend in left knee, upper body, your choice. Hands together on top of your knee. Arms lifted overhead. Sinking in your lunge, whether high or low, pressing forward through now your right hip, finding a little bit more space in here, your right hip flexor. Take another breath in. When you exhale, let your hands lower to frame your left foot. Send your right foot forward to meet your left. From your standing forward fold, move with your breath. Inhale, come up halfway with the flat back. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift your upper body, raising your arms overhead. Exhale, come to standing prayer. Keep moving with your breath. Let's work with this warmth and heat you've generated. Inhale, lift arms overhead. Exhale, hinge and fold forward. Inhaling, come up halfway with the flat back. Exhale, fold. Find your way to plank pose. This time in plank, take a breath in. When you exhale, lower your body either halfway into chaturanga or to the ground. And then invite a back bend, whether you slide your forearms out in front of you for a Sphinx pose, straighten your elbows with your hips on the ground in Cobra pose, or turn your toes so that just the tops of your feet and your hands are connected in upward facing. Take another breath in your back bend. And then transition. Make your way to downward facing dog. Taking a breath or two in down dog once you arrive. From down dog, bring your feet close together. Making your way right away to a three-legged dog with a twist. Lift your right leg, bend your right knee, fan your right hip open. Take another full breath. And then much like the way we came into our lunges, you'll unwind from your twist, keeping a bend in your knee. Find some heat, some strength in the center of your body. Come forward as if into a one-footed plank pose. Right knee to the outside of your right elbow. Take a breath. Find strength in the center of your body. Let your right knee come behind your right arm, and then drop your right foot to the space between your hands, however many steps it takes. This time, rather than coming into a lunge, we'll lift for warrior one pose. So how does that look different? You'll drop the sole of your left foot, your foot that's behind you, so that it's completely connected to the ground, working with a deep bend in your right knee. Your hips square to the top of your mat when you're ready. Lift your upper body, raise your arms overhead.
in your warrior one. Keep pulling back through your right hip. Push forward through your left. Keep the bottom of your left foot on the ground. And from this warrior one, we'll transition into a pyramid fold. Inhale to lift up a little higher. Take the bend out of your right knee. And when you exhale, hinge to fold your upper body. Let your hands fall where they're meant to fall. Maybe on your leg. Maybe on the ground with your hands framing your right foot. Maybe your hands fall closer to the spot just below your shoulders. You might like to add a wrist stretch. If your arms are long enough, and you can turn your fingers so that they're pointed towards the back of your mat, slowly drop your palms so that your wrists are then open to the top of your mat. As you fold here, you might take advantage of this wrist stretch. Take another full breath in your pyramid fold. Imagine tracking your chin towards your shin. And then from this pyramid fold, we'll start to bend back into right knee. If they're not already there, let your hands drop to the ground so that they're framing your right foot. Let for a breath or two your chest or belly rest on your right leg. We're going to make our way back to a warrior one pose, but this time with a heart-opening expression of warrior one, with our hands behind our back. So lifting your hands, interlace your fingers behind your back. Find some strength in your right leg. Keep your right knee bent. On an inhale, press into the bottom of your right foot so that you peel your chest. Lift up. Maybe even roll the tops of your arms towards one another, coming into this heart-opening expression of warrior one. Maybe even adding a little back bend, lifting your gaze. And then from this heart-opening expression of warrior one, we're going to make our way into a humble warrior. Keep your hands behind your back. If you've lifted your gaze to look upward, first inhale so that you're looking straight ahead. And then when you exhale, start to dive forward. So what does your expression of a humble warrior look like? Maybe you're resting your chest and belly on your leg. Maybe you're hovering above your leg. Maybe you're coming more deeply into your right hip, making this a head to foot pose, resting your right elbow on your right knee. Finding if you like an engagement with your shoulders by lifting your hands from your low back. Whatever your expression here has been of your humble warrior, take another full breath. And then next exhale, release. Let your hands come to the ground to frame your right foot. Lift your left heel. Now from here, drop your left knee. Uncurl your left toes. We'll come to a pigeon fold, just a few breaths. Just take some time to wiggle your right foot over to the left edge of your mat. To drop your right knee behind your right hand. And then to situate your body, bringing your right hip as close as it's willing to the ground. Now, if extending your left leg straight behind you is uncomfortable today, bring a bend to your left knee. If finding a spot that's comfortable for your right hip on the ground is uncomfortable today, grab a blanket, grab a pillow that can support you. And wherever you are here, inhale with a back bend, lifting your gaze, pressing your chest forward, and when you exhale, fold over your bent right leg. Again, not too long, maybe 4, maybe 5 breaths. Creating a pillow, if you like, for your forehead with your forearms. Or letting your forehead drop to the ground, letting your arms extend out to the sides. From your fold here, start to bring your hands under your shoulders. Inhale to lift your head, lift your chest, add a little back bend.
your gaze is looking upward. Bring your gaze to look straight ahead. And then to get out of this fold from this pigeon, you'll curl your left toes under, press through your left heel so you lift your left knee, and then make your way to downward facing dog. I like to take a three-legged dog. You might follow along, lifting your right leg high first, and then allowing your right leg to slowly lower to meet your left, maybe giving it a little shake on the way down, finding your way back to your downward facing dog with your feet close together. Inhale, lift your left leg, make your way to a down dog, twist this side, bend your left knee, fan your left hip open. Let your gaze look under your left arm. Take another full breath. Then unwind from your twist. Keep your left knee bent. Fire up your tapas, your determination. Shift forward into a one-footed plank, maybe bringing your left knee to the outside of your left elbow. Take a breath. Then let your left knee come behind your left arm. Maneuver your left foot so it steps between your hands, however many steps it takes you. Then drop the sole of your right foot to the ground. So we'll go through the same few series of poses this side of the body. We started in a traditional warrior one. With hips square to the top of your mat, left knee bent deeply. Inhale, lift your upper body, raise your arms overhead. Keep pulling back through your left hip, pressing forward through your right. Take another full breath. And then we'll prepare for a pyramid fold. You'll inhale to straighten your left knee. You'll exhale to fold over your left leg. Again, choosing whatever position for your hands, for your arms is most comfortable. If your hamstring muscle is tight on this side of your body, if your low back is feeling tight, your hinge might be slight. Your fingertips might not touch the ground, and that's okay. Let your hands rest on your leg. Or find the position where your hands can be to offer you the most for your posture. For just these few breaths, you're taking the most that your body can offer you. Take another full breath. And wherever you are, start to bring a little bend into your left knee. Start to bend deeply, keeping the bottom of your right foot on the ground, your hands framing your left foot. We'll lift for that heart-opening expression of Warrior One. But you might take a breath or two here, letting your chest and belly rest on your left leg. And then lifting your hands, interlace your fingers behind your back. Find that same strength that holds your body as you shift into a one-footed plank in your core, in your center, and lift your upper body. Maybe rolling the upper parts of your arms towards one another, coming into a heart opening here, expression of Warrior One. Maybe lifting your gaze. If you have lifted your gaze, inhale to bring your eyesight, your gaze straight ahead, and then we'll all exhale, coming into an expression of Humble Warrior. Again, you can rest your body on top of your left leg. You can turn this into more of a deep hip stretch by dropping your left shoulder onto the inside of your left knee. Crown of your head pointed towards your left foot, maybe lifting your hands from your low back. Taking another breath in your expression of your Humble Warrior. And then releasing your hands to frame your left foot. Peeling your right heel from the ground so that you can gently lower your right knee. And then prepare your body for a
Pigeon fold this side, just slowly. Walk your left foot over to the right edge of your mat. Bend your left knee, let it rest behind your left hand. Just tap into the type of energy you're feeling in your left hip. If it's best for you to bring a bend to your right knee, to extend your right knee straight out from your right hip, do it. If your right leg can be straight behind you, dropping your left hip close to the ground, work your way there. Inhale with a back bend. And exhale to fold. So same as last side. Really not spending so much time, maybe 4 or 5 breaths. If your hips are tight. Many of ours are, especially having found ourselves seated, maybe working from home, more than usual. Just be kind to yourself. Don't let yourself get wrapped up in feeling tight or tense and then gripping where it's not necessary. Relax your jaw, your neck, your shoulders. Take another breath. And then bring your hands under your shoulders. Inhale to press and to peel your forehead, your chest. Take a little back bend as you lift your gaze. If your gaze is upward, turn your gaze to look straight ahead. Curl your right toes under. Lift your right knee and transition your body to what will be your last downward facing dog. Maybe you make it a 3-legged dog. Releasing your left leg slowly with a little shake. And then both feet on the ground. Stretch back and breathe. And maybe think back to the first downward facing dog that you invited this morning after having brought a little awareness to your spine, waving your spine, creating sea-like curves with your spine. This downward facing dog after having moved your body, creating some warmth. Just notice if you feel like your range of motion has changed, if your heels are dropping a little closer to the ground. Taking one more full breath here. And then, why not, with both feet on the ground, inhale, come forward to plank pose. Your fire, your determination, your tapas. Take another breath in your plank. And then slowly start to lower down. Don't get too comfortable on your belly. Rather, flip here so that you come to lie on your back. Once you make your way to your back, take a total body stretch. So we've been here, however, it was front body that was connected to mat. So now with the back side body connected, reach arms overhead. Let the backs of your hands rest on the ground, fingertips pointing out in front of you. Let your toes point behind you. Total body stretch. Take another full breath. And then imagine from here, if you could, keep your elbows straight. On an inhale, lift your arms from their position overhead so that your arms are extended straight out from your chest, fingertips straight up towards the ceiling. Maybe most comfortable to turn your palms towards one another. And then imagine you could do the exact same thing with your legs. See if you can keep your knees straight. Find some heat in your center, your low back and your low belly. On an inhale, lift your legs so that the soles of your feet look like they could be walking on the ceiling. Coming in here to
Dead bug pose. A pretty gentle inversion with that terrible knee. Let your extremities, blood circulation here drain, creating a rush of blood through the center of your body, through your heart. Take another breath with your arms and legs lifted. And then slowly let your arms lower, but let them lower this time in the direction towards the back of your mat so that they can be parallel to your torso with your palms down towards the ground. Keep your legs lifted. So the soles of your feet might appear as if they're walking on the ceiling. See if you can press through your heels. Maybe drawing your toes towards your upper body. Find a little more of an engagement in the muscles behind each leg. Keep your left leg lifted, still pressing through both heels. Let your right leg lower half the distance to the ground. So if you can imagine angles, your left leg is lifted at a 90-degree angle, and maybe your right leg is about 45 degrees. Find the strength in your center, engage your low belly muscles. If you like, let your right leg lower to a hover above the ground, still pressing through your heels. Next inhale, lift your right leg so that both legs are lifted straight up, still engaging the muscles behind your legs, still pressing through your heels. Keep now your right leg lifted, and let your left leg lower half the distance to the ground. Take another breath. If you like, let your left leg lower to a hover above the ground. If you've lowered your left leg to a hover, lift it back up, both legs lifted, and just for another couple of breaths, lift your arms again. So the benefit of holding your arms on the ground alongside your body as you are lowering your legs to support so that you're not bringing unnecessary strain to your low back. But now here, back to dead bug. Wiggle your fingers. Wiggle your toes. Make some circles with your hands and your feet. Take one more full breath. And bend your knees to your chest. Here, hug your knees in. Putting a little bit of pressure on your belly. And then if you like, inviting a shift from side to side. If you're shifting, come back to center. Release hold of your knees. Let the bottoms of your feet drop to the ground. We'll take a reclined low back twist. Shift your hips to the right an inch or two. Let your bent knees drop left. And then extend your right arm straight out from your right shoulder. Here with my knees dropped to one side, I like to use this hand on the side, so in this case left hand, to hold my knees in place. See if you can maintain connection with both shoulder blades. See if your neck allows you to turn your gaze to look over your right arm. And breathe into your low back.
If your gaze is over your right arm, first bring your neck neutral, your head neutral, gaze towards the ceiling. If you're holding on with your left hand, release hold of your knee, and then lift your knees up. Bring first your spine neutral, and then shift your hips to the left an inch or two before dropping knees right. Extending now your left arm. If you can, turn your gaze left. Take another full breath. If your gaze is left, lift your gaze to look upward towards the ceiling. Unwind from your twist. Once you've brought your spine neutral, long, bend one more time your knees to your chest. Shift, if you like, side to side. And then come back to center. Before you extend your body to lie in your posture of stillness, lift your head, lift your upper back. Crunching into a ball, draw your forehead towards your knees. Take a full breath. And then when you exhale next, release your body. Extend your legs out. Find space between your legs so that your feet can just drop out to the sides. Let your arms rest alongside your body, or find space between your body and your arms, anywhere that allows your arms to rest comfortably on the ground with the backs of your hands on the ground, palms up towards the ceiling. Here in your Shavasana, completely supported, don't need your eyes, close your eyes. Just like the start of your practice, consider your breath. So maybe in your Shavasana, it makes more sense to let go of some deep control over breathing. So if you've layered Ujjayi breath, soften that down. Let it be a more natural breath, conscious nonetheless. Continuing to focus on inhale and exhale. Noticing any sensations with your eyes closed, much like your grounding posture. Maybe your sense of hearing is heightened. Today, let's use that sense to our advantage, to working towards stilling our minds, working on a guided stillness, if you prefer to just lie with your mind still, let my words wash over you. If you'd like to follow along, let your ears pick up the sound as far away as you can. So it's probably somewhere outside, depending on where you are. Maybe it's the sounds you might hear in nature. Some birds, maybe it's some wind. Maybe, like me, you're in a place close enough to a road where you'll hear a car or two go by. Listen to these sounds as far away as you can manage for another breath. Then come a little closer to maybe the space you're occupying.
Whether it's a house, your place of business, the building itself. Listen for some sounds that you might hear in this space. I don't know, maybe your heat is on today. Maybe you hear the rattling of a heater. Maybe there's a window that clicks or a door hinge that knocks. Maybe your dishwasher is running. So sounds that you might hear in your space. Take another breath. Then come closer still to the room where you are. Maybe similar sounds to the sounds you heard in your house. Maybe those sounds were in the room where you are. Maybe it's something different still. Maybe you have an animal, a dog or a cat who's nearby. Maybe you run an aquarium and hear the filter, some bubbles going in the back. Spend a breath considering the sounds in the room where you are. Now come further still to the space you found on your mat. So this long rectangle, this body lying on it. Maybe hearing sounds, maybe feeling sounds. You might notice your joints, whether they're your fingers, your toes, your wrists, your ankles, feeling tight, maybe feeling like they could creak if you're moving them. Maybe you're hungry. Maybe your stomach is growling. Take a breath. Thinking about the sounds here right on your mat. And then your conscious breath. This breath that has been with you throughout your practice. Maybe it's not as loud as it was when you constricted at the back of your throat. But listening to your breath. See if now you can follow your breath to the inside of your body, to the fuel that the inhalation brings to all the cells in your body. See if you can find a sense of stillness within yourself. Maybe the sound is not discernible, but there's a lot going on in your body. Recognize the significance. Consider the sounds. Taking another breath. Breathe deeply. Bring some awareness to your physical body. Maybe now the sensation of warmth or a chill that your stillness might have brought. And start to invite some movement. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Maybe let your head rock from side to side. And then take all the time that you need. Come to one side. Take a couple of breaths on your side. And when you feel ready, make your way into any comfortable seated pose. Could be easy pose. Could be knees bent. Maybe you're bringing your back to a wall or a piece of furniture in your house. Excuse me, whatever the seated posture is, let your spine be tall. your neck long, your head stacked on top. Let your hands rest. Close, if you can, your eyes, just another couple of breaths. You might choose to end your practice with a personal meditation. You might choose for a moment or so in silence to recognize any sensations, any sound, any feelings. Let your mind be still of other responsibilities for the next moment or so, and take advantage of its focus for stillness. Whether it was a personal meditation, focus on sound, or physical sensation, let your mind's focus fade. Take here one more deep. Consider it the deepest breath you've taken, maybe a cleansing breath. Release as much as you can on your exhale. And then open your eyes. Thank you, friends, for joining this morning to share in your practice, to share your energy through this virtual forum. I hope you all have a beautiful Wednesday. Namaste.